good morning, guys. It's really great that you're here today at Stoneleigh Baptist Church. We're so pleased that you're here, whether you're from Stoneleigh or whether you're joining in from all over the world. It's so great that you're here. A couple of notices for our church people, just to remind you, the church meeting on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. It'd be great to see you. And again, today is a special day as it's the last opportunity to give for giving for gospel growth as we seek to serve our community with the good news of Jesus. But tune in, have fun, and it's great that you're here. God bless.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, oh, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, oh, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are, yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Oh, 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 that is who you are. You are, yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Oh yeah, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yeah. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never never stop. Ooh, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are, yeah. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are, yeah. Light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
Blessed be your name in the land that is plentiful, where your streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name when I'm found in the desert place. Though I walk through the wilderness, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name when the sun's shining down on me, when the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name on the road marked with suffering. Though there's pain in the offering, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of darkness seems to hide His face. I rest on His unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. My anchor holds within the veil. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. He is Lord, Lord of all. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. He shall come with trumpet sound. Oh, may I then in Him be found, dressed in His righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all.
This morning we're going to carry on our series in the book of Nehemiah, and we've been journeying with Nehemiah and the people of God as they've gone about the act of rebuilding the walls. Remember right at the start, it was birthed in distress, and the walls of Jerusalem, they were in ruin, they were in decay. But in that time of disappointment and disillusionment, God birthed a desire within Nehemiah. And Nehemiah went up to a foreign king, King Artaxerxes, and pleaded with him, could he go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the walls? And because the gracious hand of God was upon Nehemiah, God granted his request through King Artaxerxes. We talked about in that third sermon about how Nehemiah mobilized the people to go about the act of rebuilding. And we talked about if we wanted to rebuild the walls in Stoneleigh, we needed to be a people together who were committed to that act of rebuilding. Because together, everyone achieves more. We've all got a role. We've all got a contribution to play. But we recognised in Nehemiah 4 that it wasn't going to be straightforward for the people of God, for the Israelites. They were going to face discouragements along the way, and we read about Sanballat and Tobiah who came and they jeered God's people. They talked about, you're too feeble for this task. And we have to remember, friends, that actually we might feel feeble at times, but God gives us the grace and that God gives us the strength to help us in this task of rebuilding. But the people responded to that discouragement by praying that God would continue to help them, that they wouldn't be afraid, that they would know that God was for them and not against them. And that's got a wonderful truth for us, that God is for us when we go about that act of rebuilding. Up until last week, we talked about how everything was well in the camp, but there was beginning to become distress. There was economic uncertainty, there was political uncertainty, and people were beginning to face famine. But then to make things worse for Nehemiah, to go about the act of rebuilding, he faced discouragement again from Sanballat and Tobiah in Nehemiah chapter 6. And that's the account that we're coming to this morning. Nehemiah faced discouragement. Let's read about it in Nehemiah chapter 6 from verse 1. Now when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem and the Arab and the rest of our enemies heard that I built the wall and there was no breach in it, although up to that time I had not set the doors and the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, Come, let us meet together at Hapharim in the plain of Ono. But they intended to do me harm. And I sent messengers down to them. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? And they sent to me 4 times in this way, and I answered them in the same manner. In the same way, Sanballat, for the 5th time, sent his servant to me with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, it is reported among the nations, and Geshem also says, that you and the Jews intend to rebel. That is why you are rebuilding the wall. And according to these reports, you wish to become their king. And you have set up prophets to proclaim concerning you in Jerusalem, there is a king in Judah, and now the king will hear of these reports. So now come, and let us take counsel together. Then I sent to him, no such things have been done, for you are intervening them out of your own mind. For they all wanted to frighten us, thinking they will drop their hands from the work. It will not be done. But now, O God, strengthen my hands. Now when I went into the house of Shemaiah, the son of Deliah, the son of Mephital, who was confined to his home, he said, Let us meet together in the house of God within the temple. Let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. They are coming to kill you by night. But I said, should such a man as I run away? And what man such as I could go into the temple and live? I will not go in. And I understood and saw that God had not sent him, but he had pronounced the prophecy against me, because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. For this purpose he was hired, that I should be afraid and act in a way and sin, that they could give me a bad name in order to taunt me. Remember, Tobiah and Sanballat, O my God, according to these things they did, and also the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets who wanted to make me afraid. So the wall was finished on the 25th day of the month Elul in 52 days. And when all our enemies heard of it, all the nations around us were afraid and fell greatly in their own esteem, for they perceived that this work had been accomplished with the help of our God. Amen, and may God bless reading of his holy and inspired word. As I said earlier on, we come to this important chapter in Nehemiah 6 where God's people go about the act of rebuilding wall and completing that act of rebuilding. But I've often seen it as a pastor that for many people, they start off running that race of faith so well, but then they give up on the way. But for Nehemiah to go about that act of rebuilding, it was really important that he learned to keep focused on the task ahead of him. In this chapter, we see how Sanballat and Tobiah, they were angry that God's people continued to go about that act of rebuilding the walls. And they tried to divert the people of God and Nehemiah's focus from where God had called him. Did you notice? They went up and they appeared to him and they called him and they appealed to him, "Come, let us go and meet in the plain of Ono." They tried to divert him from his primary objective, and his primary objective was to go about that act of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. See, I've often found that so true in ministry and so true in life, that sometimes diversions can come in the way. Diversions that look like the right doors can be the wrong doors. For Nehemiah, he had to learn to discern what were the right things for him to do as a leader. And actually, when Sanballat and Tobiah tried to divert his focus, he was resolute. He was focused. He said, "I am doing a great work and I cannot come down." See, what scholars think was when Sanballat and Tobiah, when they tried to divert Nehemiah's focus to call him to go to Ono, it was actually to cause him great harm, to cause him great injury. So actually when Nehemiah says, "Actually, I am doing a great work, I cannot come down," he said, "Actually, I'm going to make it my number one priority, my number one focus, my number one thing that I live for at this point is to continue that act of rebuilding." Notice so the discouragement didn't just come once. It came 5 times. And that's got something really important to teach us. Can I say to you, discouragement will come not just once in our walk as Christians, but it will come repeatedly. So it's really important that when we go about the act of rebuilding, don't give in to discouragements. It's easy the first time to say, "No, I'm going to keep focused on this act of rebuilding." But the second time, the third time, the fourth time, but actually, come on, friends, let's keep focused on the task ahead of us. We've got to be people who continually fix our eyes on Jesus. We're called to be people who continually focus on our vision to go about rebuilding the wall. You know, we all want to see the wall rebuilt in Stoneleigh. So come on, friends, let's keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. But for Sanballat and Tobiah, their first tactic of diversion didn't work. So they tried a secondary tactic. They tried to spread false rumors about Nehemiah. Wrong words to divert him, to make him afraid. You know, I've often found that too in ministry, that I actually dare say People will say wrong things about you. Can I say to you, slander should not surprise the Christian. You will face slander when you go about the act of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, when we go about the act of rebuilding in Stoneleigh. Can I say to your friends, one thing that I've learned that when you face slander is this, that it's more important to be right in the eyes of God than to be right in the eyes of man. But Nehemiah, even when he faced slander, it was to frighten him, it was to intimidate him. And that's why it's really important that we have our security, we have our sense of self-worth in God. If we want to go about the act of rebuilding the walls, when we face slander, remember where your security is found. Your security is found in that you are a child of God, that you're loved by God, that God has called you to this task of rebuilding, and that He will equip us for that task of rebuilding. Isn't it interesting that in that moment where Nehemiah's reputation is on the line, how does he respond to it? He responds to the slander, he responds to the discouragement. He said, God, continue to strengthen my hands. Because actually that's what discouragement does. Discouragement, and one says, makes us feel weak, it makes us feel inadequate. Sometimes we just want to give up. And maybe you feel like as you're watching this, you just want to give up. The task is too big, the task is too strong. But remember, God gives us the strength that we need. God will equip us for what we need when we go about this act of rebuilding. I love the fact that God gives us strength in every situation. That's what Paul learned after all. He said that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That we can do all things through Christ together. Even when we feel weak, even when we feel inadequate, remember, friends, that God's grace is sufficient and it's made perfect when we feel weak, not when we feel strong. So actually when Nehemiah cries out to God, God, strengthen my hands, he said, Lord, help me to know your strength. Help me to know your ability. Help me to cling on to you because you will help me, equip me for the task of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. It's a wonderful prayer. Maybe this week you need to cry to God, God, will you strengthen my hands for the task ahead of me? Because I want to go about rebuilding the wall in Stoneleigh. It wasn't just there to say that he faced lies against him, but actually notice next they tried to divert his focus. They tried to call him to go to the temple, again to make him, it would have been a place of security and safety, but that wasn't what God had called Nehemiah to do at that point. And actually, in those points where Nehemiah feels afraid, he keeps focused. He learns to persevere. Can I say to you, perseverance must finish its course so that we may be complete, lacking nothing. That's what James chapter 1 verse 5 says, that we need to be people who persevere. Persevere together in the good times and in the hard times. We need to be people who persevere. It's interesting though, when Nehemiah faces ridicule, when they try to divert him to go into the temple, it's because he has such a close relationship with God. He said, actually, God hasn't called me to go to the temple, so I will not go this way. And that's why it's really important when we go about the act of rebuilding, it's that we walk closely with God because we have discernment to know what He is calling us to do in those seasons. Can I say to you, one thing that I've learned again in the act of rebuilding the walls is this. Diversions can come in the form of what look like good things. But good things might not be the right things. So we have to walk closely with God. We have to ask Him for wisdom to know, is this what God has called me to do? Can I say to you, there will be people who give us false prophets. There will be people who come who tell us half-truths rather than the whole truths. But we have to be people who walk closely with God, who will persevere with God in this act of rebuilding. Because Nehemiah didn't just start with that vision right at the start to go about the act of rebuilding. He carried it on. The wall was finished. 52 days. An amazing task. But they completed that task. They kept their eyes fixed on the end goal. Come on, friends, we can do it. Never give up. Always keep running. Always keep persevering. But notice, how did they complete the task of rebuilding? They did it by the help of our God. That's how we'll go about this act of rebuilding together and Stoney. We'll do it by the help of our God. One of my favourite songs is Chris Tomlin's How Great Is Our God. I often remind myself of that when I face discouragement, when I face times where you sometimes want to throw in the towel. Remember, friends, how great is our God. Our God will not change. Our God will equip us. When we go about this task of rebuilding, when we complete it from the beginning, He's been faithful, and to the end He will be faithful. We can trust in Him at all times. Why? Because we know that God who began a good work in us will carry it on to completion. We know that God is our helper. What can man do to me? But notice that our people, the people who are mockers, perceived that they did it with the help of our God. See, actually, people look at the church and think, can we really offer anything to society? Can we really make an impact? Can we really bring change and transformation to a nation? I believe the answer to that is yes, we can. But can I say to you, we will do it together when we learn to depend upon our God. And when people see the church and the walls rebuilt, the community around us will look and they'll watch and they'll say, they did it because of the help of our God. Friends, let's be people who persevere. The wall is about to be rebuilt. The wall has started to be rebuilt, but let's keep focused. Let's not get diverted, but let's keep focused like Nehemiah and let's rebuild together until it's completed. Because we know that God is building His church in Stoneleigh. And God will continue to build His church. Because Jesus said, He'll build His church and the gates of hell shall not overcome it. That's a wonderful message, isn't it? That actually we know that God will complete, that the victory is sure and is certain. And actually we know this task of rebuilding. We know that that task ahead of us is never as great as the power behind us. These people were on a journey. They went on a journey, but they completed that journey. But they did it together. Let's go about this act of rebuilding together so that people will say, the walls in Stoneleigh were rebuilt. And they did it because of the help of their God. Amen. God bless.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you.
beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around
It's been so great to have you join with us this morning. If we as a church could help you in any way in the midst of shutdown, please don't hesitate to contact us at the church office. We'd be delighted to help you. If we could pray for you, support your family, if you want to find out more about Jesus, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Or you can email me, even if you have any questions, at gavin@stonechurch.co.uk. Thanks again, and we'll be good to see you next week. All the best.